Let's begin with a truth so few are willing to face. Most of what you call failure is simply truth in disguise. A lesson mislabeled and misunderstood. Humanity has inherited a misconception about failure that feels ancient and unquestionable, like gravity or death. Failures are things to be avoided at all costs. But what if that belief is not rooted in truth? What if it's rooted in fear? Today, we start a conversation that most people suppress. Not because the truth is hidden, but because admitting it requires vulnerability, honesty, and the capacity to see your life in a mirror unfiltered. So listen closely, not just with your ears, but with every part of you that has felt disappointment, pain, or what you once called defeat. When Thomas Edison said, "I have not failed, I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work," he wasn't offering a cliche, he was revealing a law of being. What doesn't work now is merely a step toward what will work later. Failure becomes a sacred signpost, not a tombstone. So, let's embark on this, starting with the first 5 truths you often mistake for failure, but are really the universe's way of teaching you your real path. Failure number 1. Rejection from an interview or opportunity. You showed up. You opened your mouth. You tried. And yet, no one called back. For most, that feels like a verdict. You're not good enough. But let's reframe this. Rejection is not judgment, it's redirection. When an opportunity closes itself prematurely, it is doing you an unasked favor. It's sparing you something misaligned with your destiny, something that might have offered comfort, but not growth. The world doesn't reject your potential, it tests your clarity. The question now is not, why did I fail? But what is this steering me toward that I've yet to notice? Ask yourself, were you rejected because you lack ability? Or because you have yet to discover where your ability actually belongs? Failure number 2. Ending a relationship that once felt promising. A breakup is often the first experience where your soul confronts itself in isolation. You look back at what was and feel loss. You believe the relationship failed. But love, even when it ends, is not a failure, it is an unveiling. It teaches you who you are when you are not performing for another's acceptance. It teaches you your attachments, your boundaries, and the edges of your heart that were never truly explored. If intimacy was supposed to complete you, then the end of intimacy becomes a punishment. But if intimacy was a mirror, then its end becomes a gift. A mirror held up to show you what is incomplete within yourself, not what is broken in the world. So ask yourself, what did this relationship show you about who you are, that you could never have learned alone? Failure number 3. Time and energy spent on a project that never took off. You poured time, thought, and effort into something that didn't return what you hoped. Most people label this wasted, but that's not truth. Every attempt that fails gives you something no success ever can: information. Success is not a teacher, it's a reward. Failure is the real mentor. It's the one that shows you what doesn't align with your soul. When you push against reality and reality doesn't budge, that resistance becomes a lesson in direction, not inadequacy. You learn about your limits, your blind spots, your timing, and the parts of yourself you still need to refine. So, reflect on this. What did that project teach you about your own capacity? About what your life is actually calling you to build? Because sometimes what didn't work is simply the life steering you quietly toward what will. Failure number 4. Changing careers after years in a field. This might feel like a confession of instability. I can't stick with anything, but the truth is deeper. Your soul is not a job description, it is a narrative of becoming. People aren't born with a career stamped on their forehead. You don't discover your purpose by choosing a field. You discover your field by uncovering parts of your inner truth. If what you've done no longer satisfies you, it's not because you failed, it's because you outgrew it. And growth is not failure, it's liberation. Ask this with honesty. Am I changing careers because I'm fleeing discomfort? Or because I'm awakening to something truer inside of me? Understanding this makes all the difference between regret and rebirth. Failure number 5. Being let go, fired, replaced, or pushed aside. Losing a job is misery, by definition. Income gone, identity threatened, future uncertain. Your mind screams failure. But loss is not a forfeiture of value. It is often the universe whispering, "You've outgrown this container." The circumstances that once coveted you now reject you, not as a punishment, but as a signal that your life is no longer meant to orbit that same limited environment. When life removes something from your hands, it often gives something new to your soul. So the real question is not, why was I removed? But what version of yourself does this removal demand you become? Because sometimes being let go is less about what you lost, and more about what you're being made into. These are not half-hearted platitudes or motivational slogans. These are truths that only hit you when the pain of staying blind becomes unbearable. And now that we've begun, that questioning has already started within you. So before we continue, right now reflect. What have you labeled as failure? Only to discover later it was actually the universe training you for something you couldn't have endured before. Answer that quietly, not for anyone else, but because that answer will shape everything that comes next. What we're doing here is dangerous in the best possible way. Because once you start seeing failure differently, you lose one of the strongest excuses the mind has ever used to keep you small. Failure is comfortable. It gives you a reason to stop. It gives you a story to tell yourself about why things didn't work out. It lets you retreat without questioning who you're becoming. But when you remove the word failure, all that's left is responsibility, awareness, and growth. So let's keep going. Failure number 6. Launching something that didn't succeed you finally did it. You created, you exposed yourself. You released something into the world, a business, a channel, a project, an idea, and it didn't explode the way you imagined. No applause, no miracle, no sudden transformation. Most people stop here and say, I failed. But here's the truth, most never grasp. Nothing that has never existed before works perfectly the first time. When something doesn't succeed, it isn't proof that you are inadequate. It's proof that the idea was incomplete, the timing was off, or the execution still needed refinement. Every meaningful creation is born clumsy. Every mastery begins embarrassing. Every great outcome passes through a phase of disappointment. The only people who never fail are those who never risk being seen. So ask yourself honestly, did this project fail? Or did it simply reveal what still needs to be learned? Because learning is not loss, it's leverage. Failure number 7. Feeling lost at 30, 40, 50. Or later, this one carries shame. You look around and feel like everyone else got a map and you didn't. You feel late, behind, disoriented, and you quietly tell yourself, I should have figured this out by now. But being lost is not a malfunction. It's often the collapse of a false identity. You're not lost because you're incapable. You're lost because the version of life you were following no longer fits who you are becoming. Most people call this failure because it's uncomfortable to admit. I no longer believe in the life I was chasing. But that realization is not defeat, it's awakening. You cannot find a new direction while clinging to an old one. So ask yourself, are you lost? Or are you finally refusing to keep walking in the wrong direction? Sometimes, confusion is not the absence of purpose, it's the beginning of truth. Failure number 8. Repeating the same emotional patterns you told yourself you wouldn't do this again. You wouldn't choose the same type of person. You wouldn't react the same way. You wouldn't fall into the same cycle. And yet, here you are. Most people see repetition as proof they are broken. But repetition is not failure. Repetition is the mind's attempt to resolve what was never understood. The psyche repeats until it learns. Patterns don't repeat because you're weak. They repeat because something in you still wants to be healed, seen, integrated. Each repetition brings awareness closer to the surface. Each cycle gives you more data, more clarity, more choice. You don't break patterns by hating yourself. You break them by understanding yourself. So reflect carefully, what is this pattern still trying to teach you about your needs, your wounds, or your boundaries? Because once the lesson is learned, the pattern dissolves on its own. Failure number 9. Being ignored, overlooked, or not chosen, you reached out. You tried to connect. You hoped someone would see you, choose you, value you, and they didn't. This feels personal, deeply personal, but it isn't always rejection. Sometimes it's misalignment. Not everyone is meant to recognize you. Not everyone is equipped to receive what you bring. Being overlooked is painful, yes, but it often spares you from relationships, environments, and paths that would have slowly diminished you. Here's the hard truth. Being chosen by the wrong people can cost you more than being ignored by the right ones. So ask yourself, were you overlooked? Or were you protected from a place where you would never fully belong? Value does not disappear because it isn't acknowledged. It waits. Failure number 10. Postponing a dream because of life. This one hurts quietly. You didn't give up. Life just happened. Bills, family, responsibilities, survival. And now you look back and think, I failed myself. But postponement is not betrayal. It's adaptation. Sometimes dreams don't die. They hibernate. You survive first. You endure first. You carry the weight before you carry the vision. The mistake is not postponing the dream. The mistake is believing postponement means abandonment. So ask yourself with compassion, did you delay your dream because you lacked courage? Or because you were doing the best you could with what you had? Dreams don't resent patience. They only fade when you stop believing you're allowed to return to them. Underscore what you're starting to see is this. Most failures are not endings. They're messages. They don't say stop. They say adjust. They say learn. They say grow. And if you listen instead of retreat, they quietly turn into guidance. Before we continue, sit with this. Which of these moments did you label as failure? When it was actually life shaping you into someone stronger than you were before. The ideas that hit closest to your identity, your sense of meaning, your inner narrative. These aren't surface-level disappointments. These are the failures that shape who you become by forcing you to confront the parts of yourself you've never looked at directly. Let's continue. Failure, number 11. Feeling like you don't know who you are. This is one of the most painful illusions, and yet one of the most transformative. You look in the mirror and feel unfamiliar with the person staring back. You've lived many versions of yourself, the student, the lover, the worker, the giver, the survivor, and none of them feels like you. So you conclude, I must be lost. I must not have a center. I must be failing. But the truth is simpler and kinder. You're not failing because you don't know who you are. You're becoming. Identity is not a fixed point. It's a journey. Who you are at 20 is not who you are at 40. And who you are in pain is not who you will be in peace. Life does not hand you a static label. Life carves identity out of experience, loss, love, struggle, and refinement. So here's the reflection. Is your identity missing or simply unfinished? The person you are now is a work in progress, not a mistake. Failure, number 12. Feeling like your life lacks purpose some days, or years you wake up and nothing feels meaningful. People say this is a crisis of purpose. But behind that phrase lies a deeper truth. What you call lack of purpose is often lack of clarity. Clarity comes not from grand answers, but from honest questions. Purpose is not a single destination you stumble upon one day. It's a series of commitments made in silence. It is the accumulation of choices that honor your soul's truth. You don't find purpose by waiting. You build it by confronting what you most want to avoid. So ask yourself, have you stopped searching for purpose? Because the answers require you to change. Sometimes the struggle you feel is not the absence of meaning, but the echo of a higher calling you have yet to embrace. Failure, number 13. Believing others are better than you. This lie is personal, subtle, and pervasive. You look at someone else's accomplishments, their financial success, their relationships, their confidence, and think, they are better than me. They are more deserving. They have talent I lack. But here's where you must be absolutely honest. Better is just another version of different. Comparison is not an evaluation of reality. It's an emotional distortion. You are not less because someone else's life looks easier, bigger, or more polished. You are looking at the outside of their life, not the inside. You don't see their doubt, their struggle, their sacrifices. You see half of the story and judge the whole. So reflect. Are they better, or are they simply farther along in revealing who they are? And the irony is this. The things you admire in others are often the things you are afraid to cultivate in yourself. Failure, number 14. Thinking this is just who I am. This is perhaps the most self-limiting illusion of all. You say this as if your personality were a prison sentence. This is how I am. This is who I'm stuck being. But identity is not a prison. it's a conversation between who you were, who you are, and who you are becoming. You are not the sum of your past reactions. You are the potential of your choices right now. If you cling to this version of yourself, the afraid one, the hurting one, the doubtful one, you rob the future of the person you could become. So ask yourself, is the person you identify with a relic of survival or a foundation for transformation? Because the moment you say, "This is who I am," you build a cage. But the moment you say, "This is who I was," you open a door. Failure number 15. Thinking you have plenty of time. This is the most comfortable illusion and the most dangerous. You believe time is on your side, that there will always be another Monday, another year, another chance. But time does not promise another moment. It only extends another opportunity. Life is a river that only flows forward, not in circles. People who live as if time is infinite delay, love, purpose, forgiveness, reconciliation, risk. They wait for clarity, for security, for the right moment, and that moment rarely comes. They spend most of their life waiting for a future that never arrives. Truth is, time is not something you use up. It's something you choose with, and the choices you postpone become the regrets you carry. So the real question is not, do you have time? But, what will you do with the time you still have? Because right now, this moment in your life, is the only now you're guaranteed. None of these experiences are failures. Not in the cosmic ledger of your becoming. They are invitations. They are awakenings. They are mismatches between what you thought you wanted and what your soul actually needed. So here's the question that matters most. What if every so-called failure in your life was not a step backward, but a detour toward the real place you're meant to arrive? And if that is true, what life are you still calling a failure? That might actually be your greatest preparation.